Hello there. My name is Mo and I bake professionally, but today I'm doing something quick that you can do with your children at home. Welcome to my channel. So, on this channel, we'll be talking mostly about baking, but I'm an immigrant in the UK and I kind of side hustle. I bake as a business as well as my day job. So, like I said, let's get into it. Quick muffin. Well, not too quick, but quick. Something you can enjoy doing with your children. So, here we go. So, we're going to add, let me put my scale on, find a bowl. Like I said, something you can do at home with your children. So, I'm not using my mixer. I'm going to mix it all by hand. And we want 250 grams of caster sugar. With the sugar, sometimes you can keep going back and forth to get an exact measurement. So if it's just a difference of one, I'm not too fussed, to be honest. So, and to that we are going to add 125 mils of veg oil. Let's get that back to 0. $125. So you might want to measure this into separate containers before mixing it together. But I like to do this with as few dishes as possible. We're looking for something quick and fast. So that's ended up at 126. Baking is a science. I'm gonna just take that off. Clear oil, but that's gonna go in the sink. It's just a tiny bit. And so that, even though it's not needed, optional, I'm adding a few drops of vanilla. This is muffin. You don't have to add any flavoring if you don't want to. Because I'm a baker, I've got a massive whisk, but any whisk, spatula can do this job. Right, we're going to mix that all in. Enjoy the sound of that. Literally just whisk together, nothing major. To that, we're going to add 2 eggs. I'm doing this in real time so we can see together that it doesn't take long at all. So I've just broken my 2 eggs. 2 eggs. I'm trying to show you that you can't see it in my bowl. But 1, 2. Give it a quick mix together. You know, and like I said, I'm trying to do this with as little bowls as possible. So you could break your eggs. You could break your eggs directly into the bowl to save you the hassle of having so many things to wash up. So to that, we are going to add 400 grams of self-raising flour and half a teaspoon of salt. But before we add that, we're also going to get our milk ready. And for the milk, we're going to need 250 mils. So You can use skimmed milk, semi-skimmed milk, any milk whatsoever that you want. 250. So that's 252. I'm just gonna take, like I said, with recipes you can keep, there we go, 49, 250. Okay, so we've got that 250. We're going to add that in. Okay, and then we are going to get another container. There we go. And we're going to add our 400 grams of self-raising flour to that. Let's change that to grams. Always make sure after you put your bowl that you've got 0 so that you're not weighing the bowl. $400 grams. On the spot. I don't generally sieve my ingredients. I know a lot of people do. So I'm going to do that for this. It depends on the kind of flour that you buy. Measure, sieve. You can also sieve after measuring, but there's nothing in this flour. I've used it for years, so nothing's going to be left in there. But it helps you introduce air into the flour if you sieve it. So like I said, nothing. You see? Absolutely nothing. So if we're trying to do this with less bowls, you could literally measure directly into your batter, but you don't want to get too much flour in that you can't get it out. So measuring into 1 bowl of flour, that's 3 bowls so far, if you're not sifting from one to the other. Okay, so we mix that gently just to make sure that that's incorporated. Let's add our salt to the flour. Teaspoon of salt. And we are going to mix this all nicely in. Make sure every single drop of that good stuff is in there. Mix that in. Get every corner of your bowl. Can we see what that looks like? We don't want to overmix it, and then I'm just using this to scrape my bowl so that I've got all of that mixture in there. Yeah. You are basically done. I've got cupcake, muffin, whatever bowls, containers. Can you see that one's 6, and I've got 2 of those, and we are going to scoop these into that. That's done. However, to make it a little bit interesting for your children, we are going to do 1 or 2 things to keep it interesting. So again, you can do this with a simple spoon. So I'm going to do that so you can see. We had the spoon from the milk before. Can you see? Scoop goes in there. Scoop goes in there. Just to show you that you don't need any fancy equipment to do this. If you want it, because they're muffins, if you want it to really fill up your, the dome, how you see in the shops, you want to put a bit more, but generally you want it to be 2/3 filled, not all the way filled in the cases. So just look for ones that you think they're not 2/3 halfway, and refill them. So generally this will give you about 13 to 14. So this is 12 that we've just made. You can measure each case if you want them to be extra, but you've got the scale there. You can literally measure each one, or you can just eyeball it. It's something you're eating at home with your children. And that's it. So to make this a little bit more interesting, I have white chocolate. We're going to put some of that in 2 of those. Actually, let's make that 5. Anybody wants white chocolate? We've got chocolate buttons. I'm just going to push that slightly in, but not all the way. Can you see right there? I'm going to do that with that one as well. And then we're going to add some dark chocolate to it as well. So you can use anything as your topping. You can add fruit, blueberries, strawberries. Remember that some fruits, blueberries, strawberries, they're quite wet. So you don't want to put too much, just a few. And you can use dried ones. If you're using dried ones, I would say add about 2 more mils of milk, just so that they absorb the liquid, and they might make your cake a little bit, your muffin, I'm used to cake, your muffin a little bit dry. So we're just going to use a knife, toothpicks, anything to push in your, you can mix this in if you want it all to have chocolate, but because I don't want it all to have chocolate, I'm doing, push it in like that, because the chocolates, if they're sitting right at the top, they might get burnt. and slightly bitter. There's nothing wrong with that if you like that kind of taste, but we're going to push it slightly in. There we go. I mean, by the time you're eating the chocolate with the muffin, it's not going to be bitter at all. But just when you look at it, it'll look a bit brown, you know, slightly burnt, that's all. So we are going to bake this in the oven. Set your oven to 180, and we're going to bake it for around 20 to 23 minutes. Yeah, every oven is different, remember that. So I would put a skewer into it at 18 minutes, but most of the time it takes about 22 minutes to bake. There you go. So I'm gonna leave that as it is. You can add some oats on top. You could add some fruit. I have some fruit actually. So I hardly eat wheat bix, but when I do, I like these dried fruits, you know, the mixed ones. You can get them from supermarkets anyway. So I'm going to add that to these ones. Like I said, because they're dried, they're not fully dry. Can you see? They're slightly movable. But if you're getting these dried ones that have been really dried, sometimes you get that from Tesco and things like that. Just add about 2 more mils to your batter of milk, and that would help, just so that they don't absorb all the liquid from your mixture and make it dry out more. That's all. So I'm not going to add anything to this. They're mine. The kids are not going to touch these ones, so I'm okay with however they come out. And we are going to put that in the oven and bake it. So there they are, baking. And then let's check the time, 16:22. On the top one, can you see 16:22, 16:23 now? And then we'll come back to them. Okay, so we are still at 180. Can you look at that? Look at them. Can you see? And it is 16:43. So let's get them out. Going to check, and it's clean. Can you see? It's very soft and sinking. Check. Clean. I don't know if you can see that. If it's not clean and it's wet, that means that they're not done. So I had said earlier that they should be done in about 22 minutes. We can leave it for longer, but we don't want dry cakes. Yeah, clean. So we're gonna get them out. Here we go. My advice, they need about 5 minutes to settle because they're quite hot. So the ones with the fruit, can you see? chocolate in the middle. Can you see it right there in the middle? And then the ones with the white and dark chocolate. There we go. It feels hard on top, but just look at that bottom. Can you see how soft they are? So we're gonna try one. Let's try a fruit one. Bearing in mind that this is very warm, it's going to peel with the case because it's literally hot. But if you leave it for a few minutes, like I said, 10-15 minutes, it's going to fall apart because it needs a minute for your oil to come together. But even with that, look at that. That's your muffin done. I don't know why I've got a knife. I don't think we need a knife. Can you see how soft? Very hot that is. So that is your muffin. So not too sweet at all, just the right amount of sweetness, moistness on it. So something you want your children to have something sweet, not too overly sweet. There is a huge difference between cupcakes and muffin. I know sometimes we say muffin are just undecorated cupcakes, but not necessarily. They are a lot less sweet. They are bigger normally. I've used my cupcake cups for my business because I don't make the mini cupcakes. I like my customers to get a decent amount of cake. So these are, it will say muffin cases in the supermarket, but they are slightly bigger than the normal cupcake cases. So, but then if you want to make giant muffins, of course you can make up your own with parchment paper. You can look at how to do that on the internet. It's really easy. You cut it into a square and you just push it in. That's it. So you can make like 1.5 of that if you want to. But if you have children, this is a perfect, decent amount for them to have. 2 of this and a cup of hot chocolate if you're rushing out of the house. Perfect for your mornings. If you do store this, you can store it for about 3 to 4 days. But I would say my children eat almost every cake warm. It is a muffin. You can put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds and it's ready to go. Nice, soft, ready with your cup of tea in the morning. So I would say 2 days, but in my house, this will be eaten today. So there you go. I've never tried it for up to 4 days because it just doesn't last that long. So if you try it with your children and it lasts that long, please let me know. I'm now going to bake our remaining 2. Again, my name is Mo. I'm a baker. I work in the UK. I make all sorts of cakes, wedding, birthday cakes. But this channel is mostly, you will see me finishing or decorating my cakes professionally. And you will also see me making things for you to make at home so that you can do it with your family. I will share a little bit of lifestyle, not a lot. Whilst we're baking, we're going to talk about all sorts of topics. Children, marriage, family, faith, all of it. Because guess what? We're all encompassing. Our life isn't just about one part of us. It's about all that makes us us. So you will see all of that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me again. Can you see? because some cakes or muffins, once air gets into it, gets all hard. I've broken this down. I mean, it's still slightly warm, but it is cooling down now. You can see how that is. Like I said, about 3 to 4 days. I'll say 3 days. Put it in the microwave, 10-15 seconds. You're good to go. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining me. Bye.